Creepypasta are internet horror stories, folk tales, myths that have been passed around on forums and other sites to scare the readers. Creepypasta comes from copypasta, a term used for text that gets copied and pasted from website to website, with having its origins that date back to the 1990s. So, what's the story of a fandom that quickly hit the mainstream media, which is now a distant memory with us remembering how cringe the fandom was, and how, in its minimal time, impacted a generation of kids in the internet? So today, let's talk about the rise and fall of creepypasta. Now, while the term creepypasta was created in the late 2000s, creepypasta has always existed, being nothing but spam for everyone's email accounts back in the 90s. But the first ever mentioned creepypasta dates back all the way to the year 2001 with a creepypasta called Ted the Caver. The creepypasta tells a story of Ted and a group of explorers traveling to a local cave where they enter and have a horrifying time. It was shared all over message boards and emails in 2001, making it a creepy copypasta or a creepypasta. Just the origins and the whole creepypasta is really interesting, so I might make a video about this in the near future, but we'll see how this goes. But while on topic of the beginnings of creepypasta, here's something that interested me when I was doing research. Apparently, there is a lost creepypasta called Camerahead. In August 8th, 2009, 4chan's X-Board or Paranormal Board would get its first hands on this creepypasta. The creepypasta Cameraheads is about a guy who finds a video cassette and envelope, in which that said envelope had writings with phrases, "I killed a camerahead," "It took Trevor," and "Get help if I don't come back." The person uploads the contents of the cassette on YouTube and starts searching more about the cameraheads, before descending into madness after realizing he is being stalked by one of these creatures. It is said that the creepypasta would have ARG or alternate reality game elements and more info on the victims, allowing you to immerse yourself on the story. As I said before, it was first found in the board's wiki Xenopedia. There the story would remain, even being featured in the bullshit category, for being reposted a lot until the Xenopedia was removed for inactivity, leaving the full story a mystery. This whole thing sounds like a creepypasta by itself, where like a guy would try to find a lost piece of media only to regret it because what he had found was so disturbing he died. Like, it's creepy but also really cool. But another interesting fact is that a video in 2006 was found with the same name, so it dates back further from Slender Man and Herobrine and all the other creepypastas that are famous. If you want more information around this, blame it on George, and Sewer Reviewer talked about this, with Sewer Reviewer giving a more longer and in-depth explanation of the creepypasta, because the only reason I mentioned it was it dates back before 2009 where creepypasta would pick up its popularity. And also I had a soft spot because it's lost media and creepypasta. In 2009, Victor Surge would submit 2 black and white photos to a Photoshop contest, which would give us the legendary Slender Man, a monster who is tall, lanky, with tentacles as extra appendages, who wears a black suit and has no face, was being spread like wildfire all over the internet. Everybody was seeing this picture, and with the added help of the video games Slender the 8 Pages and Slender the Arrival, many famous YouTubers would play these games and talk about how scary it is and would react in the most reactive way possible.
I thought it was gonna turn into Modern Warfare 3 up here. You killed us! You walked right into him!
This helped launch the Creepypasta wiki with more popularity, and with that created more stories. Pastas that were created from video games like Herobrine, Sonic.exe, and Ben Drown were created as a way of the reader knowing the original video game, being afraid of these new and unheard of special editions. especially with mods of Herobrine and the beautiful Ben Drowned video, would make creepypasta readers be like, hey, maybe this creepypasta is real. It also allowed creepypastas that were, let's just say, not that well written, like Sonic.exe, and made it even more scarier because of the added video game visuals. But video games wouldn't be the only medium that would get creepypasted. Children's shows are another famous media, with stories like Dead Bart, Squidward Suicide, and Suicide Mouse.avi would be given a horror element to a well-established TV show, so the readers who know about the original product would be hooked in because of the notoriety. Also, when searching about Suicide Mouse, it got quite popular again from the Friday Funk game. Nothing really important. I was just shocked that Suicide Mouse was still popular, but I think it's just little kids being like, holy shit, it's scary Mickey Mouse. Anyways, original stories would be made, helping new and underground writers post their stories. Candle Cove, Pen Pal, and some parts of 1999 are the best at using the creepypasta format and are cemented as creepypasta legends. But one infamous creepypasta, I would say, helped ruin and even elevate the creepypasta community, and that creepypasta is Jeff the Killer. A story about a boy who was wronged in every way, finding himself in despair, would break, killing his family and next the readers. While I do give credit to the story for introducing us one of the scariest pictures online, the story is, how could I put it in a nice way? It's just straight up bad. It just reminds me of a fan fiction that some teenage kid wrote, and I think that's what probably happened. Thanks to Jeff the Killer, a lot of copycat pastas were created, and I would lump them in a category in which Fishstick on a Stick, who reviews creepypastas, would say,
villainous character promoting slasher fanfiction.
It just gave us a ton of try-hard, sad, depressing, edgy fanfiction. Clockwork, Jane the Killer, and Laughing Jack are some of the examples of the I had a bad life so I'ma kill everyone, making the reader cheer for me. The bad guy. Like, I like Eyeless Jack, he's a regular serial killer, but all the other creepypastas of that same nature, they're just bad. It doesn't make the reader, wow, I'm scared of this creature, I hope it doesn't come and get me, to, ooh woo, we need to protect this little cinnamon bun roll. Like, you see my problem? Too many ships and fan OCs are made in a place where potentially cool horror stories are made. It became a cesspool of fangirls cheering on fake, bad written characters, and Jeff the Killer is literally a Joker ripoff, so I don't know why people really like it, aside from its infamous picture. I saw in a Goose Juice video that it dates back all the way from 2003 in Japan, so we still have a long way of finding out where the actual origins of the Jeff the Killer picture comes from. But while fan fictions are cringe and ships are bad, this is a small mark to the creepypasta body. But this next subject caused a domino effect, in which I would consider caused the downfall of creepypasta. In May 31st, 2014, two 12-year-old girls lured their friend Peyton Leutner into a forest and stabbed her 19 times in order for them to become proxies for the Slender Man. Anissa Weir and Morgan Gazer were found not guilty by reason of a mental disease and would be both sent to a mental health institute for 25 and 40 years. This would hurt the creepypasta community, making parents fear for their children, making them seem that the wiki is a bunch of Satanists or cult members, but they're actually a bunch of edgy teenagers that like anime, depressed edgy boys. And ever since, the popularity drastically went down. YouTubers that made millions off telling creepypastas barely made 100k, if not even less. Corpse Husband was one of the famous YouTubers that talked about creepypasta before it went all down and he started playing Among Us. And while creepypasta isn't as big as it once was, the characters are still popular. The Slender Man got an official movie made by Sony in 2018. Jeff the Killer has that mystery of the image and where it come from. Squidward Suicide had that cameo in an actual SpongeBob episode. And many YouTubers still use iconic creepypasta characters to frighten their young audience. And many writers still write their stories in the creepypasta wiki despite the lack of popularity the site once had. And that honestly is a good thing. Some YouTubers still make content on creepypasta. Writers use this as a chance to grow and even get a little bit of exposure that they probably didn't have. And creepypasta was a part of my childhood. Even my little sister is afraid of the Jeff the Killer image. But to be fair, it's the image that's scary, not the story, because the story's like dog shit. Like, I'm sorry, like when I reread that story, it just didn't make sense. The story purposefully made the parents the worst characters in order for us to feel bad. It just, come on. Like, just watch Fish's video on the Jeff the Killer story. Trust me, it's really good. All in all, it's not the biggest thing in the internet anymore. I think it's a good thing because it will give us a break from all these horrendous creepypasta ships. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. I also made a video on the Dawn is Your Enemy, that one creepy Adult Swim ad, and it's creepypasta. So if you want to know more about that, you can watch the video. So enough shilling. See you guys later.